Hope you got your coffee or whatever you drink in the morning. We're going to talk about trucking, spot market, a couple of other things. So stay tuned. We'll be back in just a minute. All right. Good morning. Let's remove that. How are you? Are you doing okay? Good. Good. DIY semi. Hope for today, strength for tomorrow. That's a good one. That's a good one. Bacon grease turns the screws. Yes. Last night, and I'll get to the other comments too. Last night I cooked a bunch of meat to have in the freezer and stuff. So it's a tough season for a carnivore, low carb, keto guy. Ketovore, I guess, is probably what I'm more accurate, but definitely a challenging time here in the month of December. So, anyways, yes, strength for tomorrow. And bacon grease does it loosens the screws. It doesn't turn the screws, it loosens the screws. So, good morning. Hope all is well. I dispatched a truck yesterday. Yay! Actually, I found the load on Monday, picked up yesterday. And hopefully that person will have a good week. We've got a couple of things lined up for him. And there's some things in the works that we're working on. Hopefully, we'll see. And things are changing rapidly, more than you realize. And I think that's the whole point of a lot of the stuff I talk about. Holiday season is upon us. I've seen decent volumes and decent rates. So take advantage of them now, because you're going to, that week of vacation that you're going to get at Christmas, that'll be good for you. So anyways, got to hang out with Trucker Todd. That's the big news. So the story there is he works for SRO Logistics, and SRO Scott he's been a good friend of mine for quite a while, and he bought my trailer, and the trailer was parked over there in Stratford, and so Todd dropped his rental trailer that Scott's trying to phase out, and sent him to pick up my trailer, or his trailer that he bought off me. That's more accurate, right? And we took the numbers off. I have this like portable cordless heat gun that helped a little bit, but I mean the numbers on the front corners of the trailer, man, that's sticker on metal. That was a lot more difficult. I made Todd do all that, and then I took off the numbers on the back. There was no lettering to take off. I didn't have my truck lettered with like trucking or anything like that, and put Scott's license plate on there and gave Todd the paperwork. Put in the little nose box there, and there's a great Mexican place right outside of the TA there at Exit 88, and that's where I've been taking people that come into town that want to hang out and have a good chat. And nobody's complained about that place yet. It's been pretty good. I get the same thing every single time. And so Todd and I went and did that, and we hung out. We talked about a few things, and I guess he's got a lot of trolls, so we talked about that a little bit, but mostly we talked about market stuff. He told me a little bit about his history, because I never really subscribed to him in the past, and it wasn't until Scorpion Trucker, one of our contractors, talked about him that, it's like, I'll call this guy, and then I learned later that he was going over to SRO Logistics. So, but nice guy. Not sure why his trolls attack him, but anyways, you never know. I mean, you never know with everybody. So anyways, we had a good dinner and hung out for a minute, and I was thinking about going live, but I decided against it because it was late, and it's like, man, this dude don't want to hang out with me too long. So, and not that he said that or anything. I was like, man, he's probably tired. He's had a long day. He's got to look for a load. So let him rest. So, but anyways, let me go to this comment here. Randy, I didn't take you there because it didn't exist when you were in Springfield years ago. So, yeah. So get over yourself. The next time you're in Springfield, that's where we'll go. Now, actually, you want the Brazilian steakhouse. That's what you want. So we'll do that. So, and then you won't complain anymore. And there's a place to park a truck near the Brazilian place too. So there's that. But anyways, let's go to the comments here. WCF Invader, yes, Lord of Snores is live in all caps. Grafton, what's up? Speaking of which, it reminded me, not that WCF Invader has any. Little Viking Coach, otherwise known as LVC for you new school people, did a poem about yours truly. It's very touching. I think he missed I think this is his calling. I say miss his calling. This is his calling, doing the poetry. I think it was great. So, Almond Chimera, good morning, boss. WCF Invader, hope all is well, brother. We're doing all right, man. We got the wife a car, and she seems to be enjoying it. We look upper class now because we've got a 2013, but hers is a 2010. I mean, we don't get new cars. We just don't. I've only gone to the dealership and took a new car off the lot one time. It was a little Ford Ranger pickup truck, and it was a lease. And my lease was only like wasn't even $200 a month. It was like $180 a month for 2 years. Had $1,500 down, and it was a nice pickup. But that was the only new vehicle I've ever pulled off a lot. Besides the semi trucks, I did that. My old company put me in 3 brand new trucks over the 6 years I was there. So, I mean, that was kind of nice. But other than that, my Kenworth was the most modern vehicle that this house had owned. So, anyways, this has got a lot of bells and whistles, what she got. So, she's happy. I'm happy. That's how life works. Desert Okie Pam, good morning. Randy says, good morning from Wildwood, Florida. Gen Z, booyah. Good morning. Mr. Charles, good morning. Pigtail, what's up? I'm going to talk to you today, Pigtail. DIY Semi, hope for today, strength for tomorrow. DIY Semi is in the house, literally. Bacon grease turns to screws. What's up? Morning, Don. Justin Axford, good morning, everyone. Heading up to Maine for the first time today. They said to do stuff others don't want to do. Show me that money. Maine is a beautiful state. I've been up there several times, winter and summer. I once had to pick up a load of canoes up in Maine. So one of our normal routes when I was a company driver was Springfield to um, Macon, Georgia, to the Bass Pro DC there, and then grab a loaded trailer and take it up to Foxborough, Massachusetts. There at the stadium, there's a Bass Pro. At the Patriot Stadium, there's a Bass Pro Shop. Would deliver a load there, and then they would send me up to Maine to either pick up a drop and hook of plastic cutlery that went to the caves in Kansas City, or it was canoes that came back to Springfield, Missouri. And I love that run. That the Maine, I've got a couple of coffee mugs from Maine, and my son got to go up there with me to Maine, and so Maine's a beautiful place. It was the first time I'd ever seen moose crossing signs, which I have no idea how moose can read those and know where to cross the road. But anyways, it was pretty up there. I mean, would I want to live up there? I don't know. I've heard there's like cray brokers that live in 200-year-old houses that are kind of like off the charts a little bit up there. Just kidding, Sage. Gosh. Anyways, but it's nice up there. So enjoy your trip, Justin. There are some okay couple of spots coming out of Maine, and you're going to want to look towards New York or Western PA. That's or the best paying loads out of Maine are either going to go to upstate New York, Western Pennsylvania, or Southeast. But I would suggest, if you got control over that, I would try to do a short hop to the Midwest and then go wherever you want. So, I've had to get a couple of trucks out of Maine. I think I might have to get one out of Maine next week. So I'm not sure. Josh the vegan, what's up? Grafton says, "LOL, flatbed trucker. Good morning, Marty. Were you ever an OIDA member?" Yes, and I still am. In fact, I got the sticker right here. That goes on the side of your truck. It's all puffy. These things do not come off. But no, so whether you like the organization or not, they do have some good resources online that most of you should probably utilize on like contract reading and courses. There's business courses and stuff like that. So there are perks to the membership, but they usually give away cool stuff if you sign up or renew your membership at Matt's, and that's what I've been doing. So, are you or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party asking for a friend? No. Yeah. Never have or will be a member of any Communist Party. Yes, DIY back when I was a child growing up in California. And I get the dang Chinese buffet. I must be special. See, but you did. Number one, you didn't land in Stratford, and number two, the Mexican place didn't exist back then either. So Russell Freight, what's up? Josh says, then I got a job and realized I don't like government taking my money. Greg Zimmer, good morning. Oh, I need to call you back. You called me yesterday. Yesterday got kind of crazy. So I'll be going through there this afternoon. All right, cool. Quick hit. Bring on the meat. Yes, bring on the meat. Greg, you are alive, says DIY Semi. Truck with T-Bone, good morning. I like strength for today, hope for tomorrow. Well, that's straight out of the Bible there. So, new car. That's funny. I listened to a Prime driver video. She said Prime wanted her to deadhead 500 miles. She rejected a load that came back with 800-mile deadhead out of North Carolina. Yeah, Truman. Speaking of Prime, one of my old friends from back in the Landstar days, Lisa Littlefeather. She's more on TikTok than YouTube. She just renewed, got a new truck at Prime. She just renewed her lease. She's been doing pretty good there. She's had 3. I think she's on her 3rd lease truck. She gave me a big compliment on my channel from on my video from Monday. and she's doing well there. She's one of the success stories, and you know, if I have if there was someone that was determined to be at Prime and Prime only, but they needed training, I don't know if she still trains or not. So at least if you're watching, you can let me know if you do. But she does all right there. Now, in a dispatch situation, Truman, yeah, when you reject the load, it's kind of tough, especially when you got load planners. And the fact that they were going to make her deadhead 500 miles, that means there was nothing in the area, or there was a very important load that would have done well for her. So I mean that's the state of affairs right now. And so I mean, if you're dispatched and you have a little bit of choice, when a dispatcher gives you a load and you wonder why, ask him or her, say, hey, what's the importance of this load? Why am I deadheading 500 miles? And they might go, well, because I told you to. Well, that's not a great answer. So that person needs to work on their human skills. But if they go, well, you're the only one in the area and we need this load moved, now you're doing them a favor, and you can kind of sell it as such. If they go, well, because that's your only choice because there's nothing else out there, then I mean, the writing's on the wall with that. So it's, the fact that she rejected, and I don't know what the deadhead pay is if they do anything. I know that most, I don't know how they handle that. I've never looked at their lease program as far as like the details and how they pay and all that. I know it's a percentage, but I don't know what they do about deadhead miles. So Scott SRO Logistics, I was just talking about you. Good stuff. Don't worry. Good morning. I'm sitting over here in Springfield, Missouri. Gray Dog Logistics. Hopefully you're not at AWG. So if you're a McCormick, you're going to be all right. Gold Phoenix, how's it going? Sage, I heard that. Good. Good morning, everyone. Cheap Freight Hauler Sean says, Sedalia, Missouri. I'm sure you know the customer. Yeah. Well, there's two. But I'm pretty sure you're probably at the smelly place. If you're at the smelly place, then probably spent the night at that one truck stop down there. Drawback of taking CDN and DIY semi advice to build relationships. Now I'm having a hard time keeping the Snorelord busy. Hope you don't fire me. No, you're all right. You and Greg Zimmer, man, I swear. But thank you for the super chat. At least you're paying. That's cool. Good morning, Just Stoking. Good morning, Steve. I got my DeLuna coffee and zero carb sausage to start the day in South Georgia. Excellent. Mike Nine Toes. Good morning, Scott City, Missouri. That's St. Louis area right outside, isn't that? Are you at the Grass Place? Deadheaded 900 miles recently. Ended up passing through Springfield and had a little chat with dispatch. But over the years, I've always done well overall. Oh yeah, you're over there at Prime, aren't you? I tell you what, man, that facility is pretty impressive. I've been in there, and it was tempting, but I knew that they wouldn't get me home, and that was important to me. So I never went there. But very impressive facilities. I have several friends that work inside the facilities. I've got a friend that his wife works. The guy that recorded our last album, his wife works for Prime, in the office there, and then I know a couple of dispatchers over there. And then I know the guy that used to be the chef over there. And then I also know somebody that is or was working the daycare over there. So, and Springfield, Missouri, I've lived here 30 some odd years. I'm pretty well connected with a lot of people at Prime. Bonehead Truckers is in the house. I got my nightgown on. I got my pretty red panties on. I'm ready to go to bed. If that's the real Bonehead Truckers, you should check out Impending Doom. They've been pretty good. My cousin works for Prime as a company driver. He has been there for 6 years or so. Is he pretty happy there? Obviously, 6 years. Must be bad when Prime has no freight. That's kind of look. there's two companies I look at when you want to know the state of affair with freight. Number one is Crete. If you're at a truck stop and there's a lot of Crete trucks around you that are waiting for loads, you're in trouble. In Prime. It you know, that's when you know you got some challenges, right? So, and we all know that we're challenged right now, so you just gotta get with it. My longest deadhead was 1,500 miles for a high value load. They really don't want you to just sit. And it goes back to what I was saying on Monday. You got to keep moving, and the big carriers recognize that. Now, food grade tank freight, there is a ton of deadhead. In fact, 50% of your miles are usually deadhead. And so, if you're an owner operator for a tank company like that, probably getting some good fuel mileage. And as long as you got a good fuel surcharge, you're probably doing pretty good. So, and you're kind of insulated a little bit from what's going on in the industry right now. When working on your low carb in the truck, what was the easiest snack that you would that would curb your appetite? Beef jerky gets expensive, and the MSG and the sugar kind of triggers eating. So I tried to stay away from that as much as I could. Boiled eggs, you can buy the they're pre-packaged boiled eggs. Those were good. But sometimes just a shot of MCT oil and heavy whipping cream in the coffee would do that. And then pork rinds for like boredom snacking. Make sure they're just the unflavored kind, because the flavored kind, they put a lot, like the barbecue and the spicy, they put a lot of dextrose and other stuff in there that is designed to make you overeat. So that's kind of what I did. Let's see. Good morning from Ferguson, Missouri. Hold on. These nice young men want to chat with me. Ferguson, Missouri. Are you at the scale house? The Big Orange had me bobtail from Denver to the east side of South Dakota. Wow. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. They don't have a whole lot of freight out there. I mean, if the biggest pocket is probably the Pacific Northwest, but I know that I had to bobtail to Practically, South Dakota to get my trailer out when I was at the Choice program to get my first trailer. I'd like to channel more if you were an enabler, tired of the truth. I know, Sean, I know. Anyone who downs broker relationships, I have proof of the value. Called on a load I'm contracted on with the broker. They're not budging off of 650. I'm contracted to run it when I'm in the area for 700. Told him I'm contracted to run it, and he immediately apologized and gave me my normal rate. I have two brokers that do this now. There you go. Pigtail says, I like celery and peanut butter. You got to watch it with the peanut butter. Make sure it's just a straight organic, not it's peanuts and salt. And that's it. Not the Skippy. Skippy is bad. Nothing with hydrogenated. Enough, Mr. Nice Guy. Can I please talk to Angry Snorelord? DIY has heard Angry Snorelord and he loves it. Like, I'm sitting there like, rah, 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 and he's just laughing at me. So, Romeland Services, good morning. JBS in Beardstown, Illinois is 10 hours late on getting my load ready. Still not ready. That would be frustrating. But anyways, I really don't have any wisdom for today. So we can go straight to the low board. You do have Christmas coming up. Obviously, that's not news. You're about 2 weeks, and Christmas is on a Monday this year, which is kind of good news because that means it won't interrupt things too much as far as like facilities being closed and all that. But what you do have to recognize is that if you have a load that's scheduled to pick up the 22nd or the 23rd or the 24th, you got to be aware that you want to confirm appointments, make sure that's legit. Even drop and hook customers, if there's a closed gate and there's no one to let you in, that could be a problem. So just be aware that people might go home on Friday the 22nd, especially if work is slow for them. So, and the brokers don't seem to keep, a lot of brokers, not all of them, but a lot of them don't have their finger on the customer like you think they should. And so you got to do that work. You got to confirm your appointments. You got to confirm, because the last thing you want is like, okay, let's say you're delivering a load on Friday, the 22nd, and then you've got a load booked to get you home, and then you get to your customer on noon on Friday, the receiving customer, and they're like, yeah, dude, we're closed. Come back on Tuesday. Now you're going to miss Christmas, and your truck's loaded. So if you want to be home for the holidays, what I suggest doing is make sure your delivery is near the house. So that way, if things go awry and you can't get the load off your trailer, then you could just be home and then go back in on Tuesday or whatever. So just little tricks like that. If you say, let's say you're landing in Denver on Friday the 22nd, Friday 8 a.m., and there's no loads going to where your area where you live, just expect that deadhead. You might as well just deadhead home, because there ain't going to be freight on the board until Tuesday. And even then, Tuesday's low boards are going to be very sketchy. So, and then the last week of December, you have to realize the last week of December and the first week of January, you're going to look at a lot of inventory being done. And so you might see a little bit of freight, uptick in freight in the last week of December in van. I'm not sure how reefer will react. Just to get that stuff out of the warehouses so they're not paying taxes on it. But beyond that, best of luck to you. Man, I got a frog in my throat. So, thanks to DIY Semi, you and CDN, and also lesser extent Paul, have steered me in the right direction. Won't ever say anything bad about any of you after how much each of you have unknowingly helped me. Well, here's the difference with that, Don. You actually listen, and you actually attempt to execute what's been told you. So that's the difference. There's a lot of people that watch the channels. There's a lot of people that, the people that you've listed and given advice to, but then they don't take it. So, Merry Christmas from Chester, Virginia. Simple logic. Did you guys see that house that exploded there in Arlington, Virginia? Was that Arlington, Virginia, or Arlington? I get Virginia and West Virginia mixed up. Even when I'm in the state, I get it mixed up. I used to go to Glendale, West Virginia all the time. But did you guys see that? Like it was straight out of a movie. I mean, this thing just completely obliterated the house. So it was crazy. Shannon says, "Good morning, everybody. I'm my first Amazon. Good morning, everybody. My first Amazon road good." Shannon, what's wrong with your text? What is wrong with your text, Shannon? You got some issues there. You're repeating yourself. But yeah, Shannon's running the Amazon Power Only. So it was interesting when she was live on Saturday. Big Rick CEO was say, "Hey, I can give you some advice on Power Only." The style of Power Only he does is different than what Shannon's doing. And we've got a few drivers doing the Amazon stuff right now. It's pretty decent right now. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like after January. But a lot of people will be using gift cards and all that. So maybe Amazon won't slow down so much. So, but talk to text messed up, right? Long dock times during that time as well. Also may have more time on loads because they don't want to count loads. They would rather make it as in transit. So I'll tell you a cool story. So when I was at Transland, we had a contract with Scholastic there in Jefferson City. And one day I was delivering in Moberly, and my dispatcher calls me and goes, "Hey, man, I need a favor." Now, Whenever you get that dreaded phone call from your dispatcher and the first words are, "Hey man, I need a favor," then you know you're going to have an interesting day. And he goes, "All right, I need you to go to Scholastic and I want you to pull 10 trailers off their lot that are loaded, ready to go. And you're going to bring them to this lot." He gave me the address. And then the last trailer is this one, and that's yours. You're taking it to New Jersey. Lots of fun those days. Lots of fun. And he gave me some extra money to do that. Took me quite a while to do that, but and I go, "Why are we doing this?" He goes, "Well, because our contract states that we have to have so many loads off their parking lot, off their drop lot by the first of every month." And it was like the 30th or 31st or something like that. So now nobody else was picking up the loads, but so I had to get them off the. And I guess they were scrambling to get company drivers out there to pick those loads up off that drop lot. But yeah, they were fulfilling the contract, even though the loads probably weren't in transit yet. So, yeah, the contracts, man, you gotta go above and beyond, So it cost them money to rent that spot. It was like some tow truck spot, so it wasn't the easiest to maneuver in there. And it cost them money to pay me to do it, So and they had to have the equipment to have that. So to have contract freight, you're looking at equipment cost and other costs because your sole purpose is to serve that customer. That's how they look at it. That's how you need to look at it. So, um, so yeah, that's what your comment there reminded me of there, Charles. Got 180 gallons, says Gen Z, for $600 yesterday in Indiana. Cheapest I've seen fuel since I started trucking in 2019. Yes, fuel is going down, and that's going to give a lot of people some relief. And that's good because usually this time of year fuel's going to go up. Now, my prediction is fuel's going to continue to go down, um, barring any unforeseen world event, because it's election year and they want to bring the fuel prices down to make the voters a little bit less angry. So and so it's not used as leverage as in a political event. So I predict fuel will keep going down, which that was one of those predictions I was wrong on about fuel getting crazy high. And I'm glad I was wrong. I can admit when I'm wrong, and I'm glad sometimes when I am wrong. But Russian leader just hung out with the UAE, so who knows what that is entailing. So that could change any moment. And if they start attacking tanker ships in the Middle East, that's gonna affect things as well. So just be careful of that, or be aware of that. There's nothing you can do. It's not in your control, but the only thing you got control is that right foot on your fuel. So Shannon, say it ain't so, says DIY. When I pick bad ones, I tell my wife it was your idea. She believes it. There you go. How do you be a truck driver at UPS? I can't figure it out. I have no idea. Love to hear your experience with Amazon Power Only, Shannon. We'll continue following your channel for updates. I'm kidding. Long way to go. Long way to go. I bet that lot was near the airport. Probably. It's helping me stick around the house because I got another baby coming Sunday. Yeah, so that was her whole deal of doing the Power Only. So, Amazon Power Only is very similar to running the Schneider load board, with the trailer pull and Spectre did a bunch of videos on how that all worked, and they were very informative. I know things have changed quite a bit, but everything's digital and streamlined, and it's all technology, so it's a crazy situation. Do you have enough time to explain why people only buy enough fuel for each load? Yeah, sure. I mean, what else am I going to do? So there's two philosophies out there. One is you get just enough fuel for each load, and the other one is to top it off. Now, like everything else in my life, there's a middle ground. Now, in the beginning when I first started, because we get paid after every load. So if I do a load for $1,000 and my cut is 800, and then fuel was $200, my net would be $600 for that load after the settlement. But when you're paid weekly, it's different. So when I was at Schneider, I first started doing the fuel for each load. Well, then sometimes like your reload is going to be canceled, and now you're having to deadhead 200 miles. So you got to get fuel anyways, or you're deadheading what your 30-mile deadhead just turned into a 200-mile deadhead. Now you got to get fuel, and now you're counting on more fuel for this run that you didn't account for. And so that bit me in the butt a couple of times. So I stopped doing that. So what I found is if I'm in a cheap fuel state like Missouri or Wisconsin, I will top off the tanks. Or if I was in a good place where there's a good fuel discount like Effingham, Illinois, Petro, I would top off the tanks. But then sometimes I would do a strategy like if I'm empty, if I need to get fuel in Indiana and I'm on my way back to Missouri, I will only get like 60 gallons, enough to get me to Missouri, and then Missouri I can fuel. I could top off the tanks, and I would I would stop paying attention to the load. Now, if you get paid after every load and you're doing nothing but short haul, well, if you top off your tanks and it's like $700, but you just did a $600 load, it looks bad on paper. But at the end of the week, it all comes out the same. So what I tell people is to strategize your fuel to get the cheapest fuel. And if I'm in Pennsylvania and I absolutely have to get fuel, I'm only getting enough fuel to get me to Ohio. If I'm in Missouri, I'm going to top off my tanks. And so being aware of your fuel prices and strategizing. So there was a big controversy between Kevin Rutherford and Trucker's Coach because he had put out that he fuels for every load, and he gave his reasons. And Kevin Rutherford, called him a bunch of names, and they went back and forth for a minute. But to me, there's a middle ground. But in the wintertime, I want to top off my tanks as much as possible, especially if you're starting. There are days when you might start off in Missouri where it's 20 degrees, but then you're going to end up in Dallas where it's 70. And I've literally experienced that. And that's what creates moisture in the tank. So it's kind of, there's the set formula is get the cheapest fuel when you can, and strategize your fuel stops based off of the prices, not based off the load. Even if you're doing a long run, let's say you're going from, say, Denver to Maine. Look at your route and see who's going to have the cheapest fuel. So you top off, if you got enough to get the Denver to Missouri, well, you top off in Kansas City there at the Iowa 80 there. And then that should land you in Indiana. Then you get 60 gallons. And then when you get to Ohio, you might get as much as you can. So you're not, so you want to minimize how much you're buying in the Northeast. Now, if you're going west, like California, you definitely want to top off in Arizona so you can go in and out of California without having to get fuel, because California does have the highest price fuel. So it's all a strategy. And so if you're doing long runs like that, you're probably getting more than you're not getting enough. You're gonna fuel 2 or 3 times on that trip. So it's all about strategizing on how to get your fuel. But to get enough fuel for each load, that can bite you in the butt, especially if you don't account for the deadhead for the next load. The only way I would see doing that is if you're so broke that you can't afford to fuel more than what that load required, and that was your last load for the week. Or you're trying to look at the numbers and you don't want to be in a negative number if you've done a short load. So, or your truck's getting ready to go in the shop and you don't want it full of fuel just in case you don't get it back. So So there you go. So Missouri was literally the only place where I've ever topped off my tanks to the brim. But I ran the same routes. Basically Missouri to Columbus and back for quite a while, and so I knew exactly where I was going to fuel, and I had a strategy going to Ohio, and I had a strategy coming back. But you don't want to be, if you're running a lot of like heavy northeast or heavy northwest, you don't want to be caught with not enough fuel. If you're, if I'm going out to Wyoming or going through Wyoming or Montana, you get 80 or 90, they get shut down. You definitely want your tanks full because you don't know. You might be sitting there for 3 days and your APU goes out. So that's another reason why I would never do just enough fuel for each load, especially if you're running out west. So there's a middle ground. If you're doing nothing but shorties and you know your market, you're not going to do a 200-mile deadhead, there you go. But, but if you're doing long haul, you might as well just pick the cheapest fuel. Mid hauls like 500 to 600 miles, depending on the areas you're running, if it works financially, cool. If not, just top off the tanks. But especially in the wintertime, you don't want to mess with that. I only let my truck get past third mark on the peat. Yeah, if you have huge tanks, I can see being that strategy. Fuel going down because of an election year doesn't make sense considering they don't like this administration and their attacks on the oil industry. I could be talking out of my butt on that, but historically, I've noticed that fuel prices go down during election years. That's just what I've noticed. So I'm just assuming at that point. Shannon, I sent you a Cash App 2 days ago. Did you get it? Says Don. Yes, don't. Don, thank you. I will ship this weekend. You can Amazon work. I'll be interested in seeing Shannon's fun adventure. Getting 8.0 with the Cummins. 44 in the box. Excellent. It's really great because I live in the middle of 4 Amazon terminals. Yeah, that's the other key to Amazon. If you live near good terminals, then you can stay busy. If you don't live near, if you live in Wyoming, yeah, good luck. Good luck anyways. I do it because if the truck breaks down, I'd rather have the money on hand than in the tanks, but sometimes they'll top off based on the state IFTA. There you go. Are finances really that tight though? That's why I worry about that. So run short haul and get fuel once or twice a week. I don't know how I get fuel each load running short. I just get fuel when needed or when there's a very cheap fuel stop. And I will always do a minimum of 60, regardless of where I'm at, whether it's California, Pennsylvania, because I want that shower credit because we all need showers. So, morning, Steve. I will be watching the replay. Prime sends us the cheapest fuel en route every day. There you go. Have time to talk about the less IFTA fueling strategy. That I won't get into. Jeffrey Like is the master at that. I didn't pay attention to the IFTA fueling strategy because I didn't do a whole lot of long running, so I didn't really pay attention to that. There's other people that are more experienced and better at me than me. So there you go. I'm the trucker's fitness coach. I mumble just like Jason, except there's house music playing in the background. I used the less IFTA price, did a quarter fueling lowest price, which was Kentucky, lowest fuel tax, paid $600 on IFTA. Next quarter, I filled lowest, less IFTA, and filled in Indiana exclusively. And got $550 back on IFTA. So for long haul drivers on the spot market this week is last trip to leave, deliver Wednesday next week, get a return load by next Friday. There won't be enough time for a second rounder to be home by the 22nd. Now finances aren't tight. It's just how it was taught when it started. Okay. Yeah. And look, within the Prime network, they have their own strategies and stuff that work for them. And they have the data to figure out what works and what doesn't. So they let it get cheap and promise change. When they get back, they backstab the American people thinking they got you. That's true. Look, politics is the theater of government. theater. Theater. Breaking news: Taylor Swift named Times Person of the Year for 2023. Thought that's about right. Hitler was once named Person of the Year for Time magazine. So there's that. So DIY has the best video on IFTA if you only check it out. There you go. DIY, you've got a wrench. Put the link in there if you want. Buy and release millions of gallons from our strategic oil reserves. Big reason dollars are down. So his advisors must see something coming down the road. Yep, there's the link right there. Don't fuel in Georgia as the fuel tax is not currently on the price. You will pay an IFTA in the end if you do, right? Put a 9 in the chat if you plan 2024 yet. See, hard to push electric cars when fuel is cheap. Makes perfect sense for the oil companies. Well, here's the thing. All the weaknesses of electric vehicles are now starting to come into picture. And they're realizing that they're pushing this agenda too quickly before the, too quickly, and everybody's recognizing the flaws of it. Common sense is finally starting to trickle in, and a lot of electric deals are failing miserably. So whenever they get that figured out, expect fuel to go sky high so they can push you to the electric vehicles. So when I watch Coach, Benny Hill theme is the best background music, so acceleration rules. Fuelbook app works good on if the strategy. Yes, that is true. Yes, GA fuel tax is back. Started back on the 30th. There you go. So anyways, let's take a look at the load boards here. Actually, let me do this here real quick. Once the market flips, everybody's going to want to buy trucks spinning this when fuel was $5.79. True. Sage says 9. Oh, my only plan for 2024 is I want to be up to 5,000 subscribers, and I'm getting pretty close. Let's see where I'm at. According to YouTube's, I'm at 4930, so 70 to go for the next 3 weeks. I don't think I'm going to make it. So, oh well, it's because I show the boring low board stuff. So, wait for it all to burn and back cleanup. Yeah, that'll be, yeah. All right, so let's do share screen. Let's take a look at some loads. This is the hot market map for van on 123 low board. Let's take a look at what some rates are doing. So let's get that out of here. Let's take a look at Missouri. Trucker Todd was looking for a load out of Missouri the other day. I guess he did all right, but he's on his way to Colorado. Let's see. Let's do this by the highest rate. See where the long haul stuff is going. The highest paying load out of Missouri for overall revenue is $31.41 out to California. And then Joplin to West Palm Beach, Florida, 234 mile, $30.98. That's probably your better bet. Less miles. Columbia to Boston, Mass. Albany, New York, Providence, all going northeast or west coast. A lot of it going northeast. So if you're one of these drivers that goes, I ain't go to the northeast. Well, guess what? And you're not getting a load off this board. Unless you want to go out to Cali. Here we go. St. Louis to Westminster, Colorado, 308 a mile, 2,600. Grantsville, Utah, 203 a mile from Palm Palmyra, Missouri. Washington, Missouri to Long Island, New York. 243 mile, 2464. Let's click on this one because let's say you're brave or you got family in New York City you want to hang out with. Look at the tolls on this load. $410 in tolls. So out of $24.64, if you do it for the posted rate, you're looking at a net profit after fuel and your carrier's percentage of $915.23. Divide that by the day. Oh, it's light. That's the beauty of that. But yeah, you're looking at $400 in tolls. You got to be aware of the toll prices. Now, I don't know what your costs are. If your costs are $100 a day, then, knock yourself out. But, most of the time that kind of freight's contracted out. Number one, they want people that know what they're doing inside the New York City limits. And then, I've been seeing a lot of videos of trucks going underneath expressway overpasses and all that. So there's been an uptick of those, just like there's an uptick of pileup videos in the wintertime. So winter weather pileups. Here we go. Joplin and Monroe Township. I know what this is. This is going to be, look at it. December 8th, delivers December 11th. Costco, CST MOP. Yep. So this is a Costco load going to Monroe Township. Now, Costco's always good. There's not too bad of a parking situation near Monroe. I used to go to Monroe Township all the time. I used to go to the Barnes & Noble out of Scholastic all the time. But look, their rate is fairly low, especially when you're looking at some tolls. Tolls is also $409. You say, well, go around the tolls. Well, what if they don't allow enough time on this load to go around the tolls? But this is going to be beverage drinks. And you're probably looking at freeze protect as well, depending on what the weather's doing up there. I haven't looked lately. St. Louis, Jacksonville. So let's look at inbound Missouri loads with the highest rate. $3,700 go from California, Lebanon, to Missouri. So if you're doing the other one, you're getting $1.70 to go out to California, and you're getting $1.90 to come back. Let's see, San Diego. So a lot of West Coast to Missouri. Now, if we go back to outbound and do our rate per mile, this is going to give us a lot of our short haul stuff or the best paying stuff, which is probably already gone by the time you call on it. Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, $18 a mile, $300. And I know what this is. This is probably water going to Cisco. So, or AWG. That's on the Kansas side of Kansas City. Portageville to West Memphis. That's not bad. 388, 384 mile. Oh, Portageville. That's southeast. That's not too far. So here we go. $900 to go from Moscow Mills to Clayton, Indiana. Springfield to McAllister. Whitewater Freight. I've never seen them before. That's a new broker to me. Picks up today, right? Yep, picks up today. Probably delivers tomorrow morning. McAllister, you're looking at the Denver market. So, unless you want to deadhead up to Tulsa. $900. They're above the cargo chief and above the green screen, so that's good. You're looking at $11 in tolls because you're going to get off at 44. They're a big cabin and go down 69. The speed bump of many miles is what the locals call it. And there you go. That's what I call it anyways. A lot of stuff from Missouri to Kansas. Here we go. Owensville to Iowa. Springfield to Oklahoma City. I'm gonna guess it's either Coke or Pepsi loads coming out. I'm gonna guess it's probably Busky out of the caves. Oklahoma City Pepsi's not bad at all. I've been in and out of there quite a few times. You're looking at $50 worth of tolls. So tolls must have went up on 44 there. So, let's take a look at Michigan. Let's see what Shannon's missing out by doing the Amazon stuff. We got this by, let's see, sort it by rate per mile. Let's see what the short stuff is doing. Here's the load Shannon's missing out on: $21,400, $25 a mile to go from Michigan to Georgia. There you go. Do this load once, take the rest of the month off. So obviously that was a typo. They're probably meant to be at 2140, not 21,400. So 45.5 on the weight. Imagine that sugar and or paper. Let's see, 1,300, 354 to go from Michigan to PA. Paw in North Carolina, 347 a mile, 2,800. Huh. That's pretty good. 3 extra stops. That's what I thought. But it's still Hartford, Michigan, Piedmont, South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina. I wonder if this is Christmas trees. I know they come out of Michigan as well. Although it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of late. It's last minute if it's Christmas. Schoolcraft, Michigan, to Rich, Indiana. So here we go. Hartford, Michigan to the Bronx. 2,500, 337 a mile. So Michigan's paying to come out for sure. Food stuff ready now. Delivery 12/8 at 9 a.m. That's going to be a challenge. $163 in tolls. Not too bad. But then you're dealing with the Bronx, and what are you going to get out, right? So you click on this load, but again, you like self-abuse, or you're going to go into New York City. And so you look at the return, loads. Let's say you want to go back to Michigan. There's 270 loads coming out of the Bronx. Let's click on those. And you're looking at, what's the highest rate? $1.19, $1.10, $1.56, $2.35 to go to Florida. That's it. So nothing's paying over $2 a mile unless you're going into Florida. So just be aware of that when you go to that area. So that's why you got to know your markets. So is it worth the hassle? That's only you and the decision for you and you alone. Sandusky, Michigan to Grafton, Ohio. Pretty decent day run. Sandusky, Michigan, Grafton. Let's see, 45 on the weight. Add drop in Greenwich. So that's why that rate is a little bit higher than what Cargo Chief is showing. So Holland, Michigan to Monroe Township. Probably not as high on the tolls. They're at $3.16 a mile, $23.43. Doesn't say anything about multiple stops. It's probably going to Costco. $37 in tolls. That's not a bad load, but just know that you're going to take a hit coming out of Jersey there. And you got to pay attention to miles. Make sure that they're not routing you through Canada there. So Kalamazoo to Tampa, not quite $3 a mile. So a lot of stuff going Michigan to Indiana and back. So that's cool. Michigan, Ohio. So if you want to run the short game, and that daily rate works for you, then you're good to go. Oh, man, you guys have been commenting like crazy. Where am I at here? The reality is we do need to reduce usage of fossil fuel cars and trucks. Flip is if the world went electric, grid couldn't handle it. Ideal is hybrid cars, same with house heat, hybrid with solar gas. Seawater. So, if the seas are rising, like they say, then wouldn't using seawater for fuel kind of eliminate that? I was trying to get 2 times 150 tanks, but didn't have enough frame space without extending the WB and having too much trailer gap when ordering my new truck. That way I could fill up on that cheap Illinois fuel to get to Georgia and back to Illinois to fuel again. That's the advantage of having big tanks. If everyone analyzes their own situations to find ways to reduce using resources is key. If work at a job that you can ride a bike 8 months a year and bus or carpool 4 months, no silver bullet to fix. There isn't. But there's a lot of people profiting off of thinking that you think that it's a silver bullet. That's the issue. Like DEF fluid. That stuff's toxic. It corrodes. It ruins the lifespan of the trucks. Makes the trucks less reliable, but hey, we're saving the environment, right? So, and in order to idle, if you want to stay warm in a truck with DPF system, you have to bump up the idle so you're burning more fuel. So it's such hypocrisy. Such hypocrisy. It is not the answer, but yet a lot of people are going out of business because of their answer. So let's see. Has anyone negotiated tolls separate? When I have in the past, brokers were easy to negotiate with. Some people do, some people don't. So that's a good strategy to bring up. No silver bullet to fix the environment. Not being aware of reality is not good. If we don't take steps voluntarily today, we'll be forced in coming years. Water is most at risk. Most will not agree. I agree with that, but again, you got the hypocrisy. Everybody wants us to be green. So what do? They send all the manufacturing to China, which have no EPA standards, that are poisoning all their rivers. And so it's hypocrisy. It's okay to corrode other people's backyards, but not our own, instead of just finding a real solution. So try getting endorsed by Just Trucking. How does he have so many subscribers? Because he knows the algorithms and the analytics. He knows how to use them and manipulate them. He knows what he's doing. That's as far as majority of the trucker YouTubers, he knows that system inside and out. He knows how to title. He knows the images that work. He knows the topics that work. He knows how to get people riled up. He knows how to get everybody talking about him. There you go. That's how he has so many subscribers. By the way, no Mexican for me in the War Department when we come up. I know you're getting the Brazilian food. He lets viewers live the American dream vicariously through his lens. Housewife, kids, toys. He's mechanical, drives nice trucks, lake house. He's doing what most only dream about. There you go. I have 2 100-gallon tanks, says Russell. Marty says the more sea ice melts, in theory, the sea level should go down. I don't know. All I know is that the environmentalists would have a better platform to stand on if they had some common sense. Putting DEF fluid in a plastic jug and a cardboard box, and let it corrode the surfaces that it touches, and costing thousands and thousands of dollars for each person that owns a truck, whether a company or not. I don't think that's an answer for fixing the planet. So Just Truckin' also puts one video out every single day like clockwork. It's hard for the algorithm to forget you when you post new videos daily. Yes. My channel grew substantially when I started doing these live feeds every other morning. And then Almond says, why are tolls so trucks were expensive? Because they know we got the money. Number one. Number two, we put more wear and tear theoretically on the roads. So, all right, let's take a look at reefer here. California, Arizona are lit green. Minnesota, Wisconsin's green. Missouri, let's take a look at Missouri reefer freight, shall we? So highest rate per mile, $1,000 to go from Milan, Missouri to Clinton, Iowa. $3,800 to go to Royal Palm Beach, Florida. $1,200 to go from Missouri to Coppell, Texas. St. Louis to Cincy. Let's click on this one. 13,677 on the weight. Picks up at 10 a.m. on Friday. Delivers Monday morning. So a lot of transit time on this one for 350 miles. Low sodium ham, smoked ham, water added. So it's meat. And we all know that some meat places take forever to load. Let's see. No toll costs. Plenty of backhauls. Yeah, if you live in Cincy, this might be a good load, but then your reefer is running all weekend. So you got to take that into account when you're doing your pricing. Here's one. Is this Michigan or New Jersey? I got two. Joplin, Missouri, University Park, Illinois, and then Logan Township, New Jersey, 3,600, 306 a mile. Reefer temperature -10, picks up 5 p.m. on Monday and delivers Thursday at 8 a.m. So 4 days of transit, 1177 on the miles. So that comes out to 3,600 divided by 4. That's your daily rate. Profit showing $1.72 a mile. Why is the toll in Rochelle, Illinois, $17 for 20 miles? I have no idea. But they're trying to up the gross on 90K. You know why they want to do that? So there's less loads. You need less trucks to do that. If every truck could haul just 10,000 pounds more, man, for ever so many, how many trucks, that's one less truck that gets. So think about that. There's too many trucks for the load count now. Think about if they allow 90K on trucks. What does that look like? See, that's something that you have to take you have to take a look at. What is the intention of the rules? The ELD's intention. What is the Macker Point's intention? The intention of allowing 90K on trucks is to have less trucks moving the freight. There's less loads on the load boards. Shipping costs could be cut pretty quick, pretty decently. And then the contractors that maintain the roads, they make more money. The tolls, they're able to charge more money. Do you see why they would want that? It's not about because the road can't handle your weight. It's about making sure that they keep their costs as low as possible, and that means you, right? And there you go. So this is why everybody needs to kind of get their act together, because there is intention to take you out because they need their costs eliminated, whether it be electric truck, whether it be, increased weight limits, whether it be automated, autonomous trucks. Now, is autonomous trucks going to become a reality anytime soon? Not as fast as they hope, but you have to look at the intent. I've talked about this before. If the intent is to replace you, look at what happened to the automotive industry 50 years ago. you know what? We got tired of our people griping and needing more money. So guess what? We're going to send half the jobs overseas, and the other half are going to be done by robots. Trucking's no different, except they're bringing immigrants in to do the freight you don't want to do because it's too cheap. Then the other stuff they're going to try to automate or try to eliminate by increasing weights, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the trucking industry is never going away. I mean, we are the lifeblood of this country, but they want control of it. You got to control it, because if you don't control it, you have no control. What you see happening in other countries with the truckers and the farmers going on strike, they don't want that here. And so they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that never happens. Like what happened in Canada a couple of years ago. They're going to make sure that that never happens. And in order to do that, they got to control your logs, they got to control your regulations, they got to control your trucks, and they got to get rid of a lot of the excessive fat that makes shipping costs high. So our role as consumers is to stop supporting the non-common sense companies. And that's where you see stocks, I think like Budweiser and Disney, their stocks are struggling because people are voting with their wallet. That's pretty much, people's like, oh, your vote doesn't count. Yes, it does, but it's your wallet, not your voting card. I'm fine with tolls, but I'm not fine with also paying IFTA for those miles on the tollway. Has the sky fallen yet? No. 90K dagger. Well, I'll combat that. I'll take 20 500-pound girlfriends with me on the road. That sounds interesting. You probably have a good YouTube channel on that one. Saw at Costco, day cab is allowed to put 84,000. I've also seen another day cab 80,000. Remember, platooning comes before autonomous trucks. Pale Rider, what's up? I need to have a conversation with you today sometime. I have a few questions for you. So, anyways, take a look at flatbed. People keep asking me about going to flatbed. Not sure why. That doesn't look good. Now, a little bit more green in more concentrated areas. Now, this is all green. Let's take a look at Montana. 237 loads outbound and only 36 in. So, but now you're tarping and chaining in sub-zero temperatures here in about a month. So just be aware of that. If you're willing to do that, cool. More on you. But 390 miles for $1,900. Let's take a look, see if this isn't something specialized. Flatbed step deck, 48,000 pounds, palletized stone. Nope, nothing special about it. And then it's heavy. Montana and Wyoming, $1,900 for 390 miles. That's a good rate. I can see why people would want to do that. But you're investing in more equipment. There's more room for error, and those errors could be fatal. So more fatal than, not strapping your load of Coca-Cola in the back of the trailer, which most people tend to fail at. So it looks like a lot of if you rate per mile, it looks like there's a lot of short haul in this area. So you can probably make some consistent money both directions working just this area right here. Let's take a look what's coming out of Georgia. Highest rate per mile is $4.35 a mile to go to Florida, South Carolina. A lot of the short haul is Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee. So let's see where the long haul stuff's going. Savannah to Flagstaff, 3,600. 3,400 to go to New Mexico. Of course, New Mexico, you're probably going to end up in El Paso to come out. Let's see. Or Oklahoma. Even then, your rate's not going to be great. So nothing really breaking $2 a mile. Here we go. Massachusetts. Again, it's the same rules. It's the same thing. I sound like a broken record. If you want to break $2 a mile, you got to go northeast, or you got to go southeast, or you got to go, they're not paying to go up to northwest. Why? Because northwest market's really good right now in flatbed. But look at this. I haven't spotted a load yet that's going northwest. None of it. It's all going to Florida or northeast. There's some going to Illinois. So you think, well, I'll just go from Washington to Georgia and back. Well, guess what? There's no loads going up there. None. Zero. So now what's your strategy? Two-step it. What is going to Washington, and then go there. Even then, you're probably not going to get a good rate because AI is telling them, hey, you know what? Don't price them high to go into Washington because they're going to get it coming out. Pilraj says, give me a call. Flatbed company, oil field, rig runners, pretty much any vehicle is available you can bring on in the Houston area. Says Ryan Peterson. CB says, all I want for Christmas is someone to manufacture or ship something profitable out of North Florida. Good luck. Unless it's watermelons or Christmas trees. Do they grow Christmas trees in Florida? Probably not. That was probably a stupid comment I just made. And I'm okay with that. I'm pretty comfortable with myself. All right, so that's it. Not too bad of rates out there, so that's good. Volumes seem to be okay. Let's do this real quick. Let's go to load ratio map on DAT because I also use that as well. Now I got the cheap $80 version of DAT since I got 1, 2, 3 as well, so they both work in unison. Arkansas is good. Arizona's got more coming out than in on van. This is all van. California is almost even. Colorado avoid. Connecticut avoid. See Delaware avoid. Iowa's 397 in, 947 out. Idaho is 144 in, 240 out. Illinois is 1392 in, 2401 out. Indiana's good. Kansas is good. Kentucky's good. Louisiana's good. On ratios, this is ratios. I don't know. This doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't amount to good rates, but it definitely helps. Missouri 662 in and 1222 out. Oregon's lit up. Pennsylvania's not so much. Texas, look at Texas, 4462 going in and 2653 coming out. That's a lot of loads going into Texas. And you ain't going to get squat out. That's why they're paying a little bit better to go into Texas. Washington's good. Wisconsin is banging. And even Wyoming's got 80 in and 197 out. So there's probably still too many trucks. I don't have the truck to load ratio map on this, but what are you going to do? I wonder why so many drivers are focused on rate per mile. Let's see. Drivers are paid by miles. All data displayed in rate per mile. Every shipper broker thinks rate per mile, plan your cost per day, and convert. And that's pretty easy. So if you go to 1, 2, 3 low board, let's use that as an example before we get out of here. All right. We're going to leave your comment. Let's go to van here. Apply. We'll pick Missouri since we've been dealing with Missouri here. We'll pick any random load. Let's pick this Providence, Rhode Island from Columbia. They're at $229 a mile, $3,000. But here's what I also look at. Okay. That's 1310 miles. Now that's 2.5 days of running. Because on the way to Rhode Island, you are not going to average 650, 700 miles a day. But it doesn't matter how long it takes. When does it deliver? So if it's 3.5 days or 3 days, 1310. Let's do the math on that. 1310, let's say it's an open window. 1310 divided by 60 miles an hour. Let's say you can average 60 miles an hour, which 21 hours of driving. So that's what, 2 shifts? If you can get that done in 2 shifts, and on the third day, so you're looking at 3,000 divided by 3. That's how I would calculate that. It's $1,000 a day, gross, before fuel, before everything, before carrier's cut. Palatalized paper, so spelling's an issue with this broker. $359 in tolls. So you got to look at that. But then, so let's say you go by this profit calculator. Total profit's 92 cents a mile or 1205.33. So if we take that 1205.33 divided by 3, you're looking at $401 a day after fuel and tolls and carrier's cut. Now, can your operation survive on $400 a day? Let's say your cost is $300 a day. Well, now you got some money in the bank to do something that's below your cost per day. It's a simple equation. Why people go back and forth, I don't know. I look at both, right? I look at both. Because time is expensive, right? So what good's a 300-mile run that's paying $3 a mile, but you're on it for 5 days? That doesn't do you any good, right? Oh, but man, I got $3 a mile. We're good to go. Not if it takes 6 days to do it on 300 miles. You know, that's why brokers add more money to a drop trailer situation, or should be. You know, there was a time, there were loads here in Springfield that were drop trailer. I couldn't do them because I didn't have a plate trailer. But they paid $1,500 for 200 miles. Why? Because the customer was going to have your trailer for 4 days. Now, I did do one drop trailer load, and they had it for 3.5 days. It paid, I think it was about $1,400 for 200 miles, but it was over the weekend. So I had my trailer by Tuesday morning. The worst part about it was where the trailer was dropped. I'm lucky it didn't get damaged because it's so tight in there. But number two, I couldn't book anything ahead of time because I didn't know when I was going to get my trailer back. And he showed me the stack of paperwork that I was there. I tried bribing them and everything. They wouldn't unload me. But had I been able to do that, man, that would have been a killer run. $1,500 for a day's worth of work. But no, it went over 4 days. So if you do come across a drop trailer situation, which I don't recommend, but if you do, let's say you're going home for the weekend, so why not? Then make sure you're getting your rate per day on that, because they're using your equipment, regardless if the truck's running or not. Now, the problem with that is that if you're doing a weekend run, let's say you're picking up a load in Columbus, Ohio, that delivers St. Louis, Missouri, picks up Friday morning, delivers Monday morning. Well, they're not giving you 4 days of revenue, from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 4 days of revenue for that load. They're going by the mile on that one, because it's a weekend load, even though you could probably get there Saturday morning. Well, the place isn't open on Saturday morning. So you have to take those things into account. And so when you're making your above your cost per day or your revenue per day, targeted revenue per day, you're going to have to take hits on some of that. So that, again, it's a combination of short and long haul that works. If you're going to stay out, make sure you do a longer run over the weekend so your rate per day doesn't get interrupted. So, good morning, everyone. Greetings from North Canton, Ohio. I've been there a few times. I don't care what rate per mile is. I'm only concerned with my personal cost plus business cost plus whatever per whatever month, week, year. Cent per mile is an arbitrary subjective number. It's more about what do I need. Exactly. If you need $4,000 for the month, you get up to that $4,000 and you're halfway through the month, you're good to go, right? If it's the first of the next month and you're at $3,000, you got a problem, right? So if everybody would just simplify the formulas. I mean, you still want to track everything, but you want to simplify your formula. You know what? I need X amount. I'm going to work until I get it. Then the rest is gravy / profit / bonus. That's why trucking companies will give you a bonus for running more miles. Hey, if you get X amount per mile or many miles at the end of the month, you get a bonus. Why? Because it's a bonus for them, for you to keep working. It's also why your lease payments are weekly, not monthly, for the most part, especially with the mega carriers. So simple. All right. So with that being said, I'm out of here. I got a few things I got to take care of. I got a few phone calls to make. So with that being said, strength for today, hope for tomorrow. Aggression turns the screws. Peace.